Yo, what's up, everybody? Okay, today we are going to be talking about some ways to grow muscle. But the first thing I want to talk about first is understand that a lot of you think that you need to gain muscle when in reality, that's actually not what you need to do. Like, for example, what I mean by this is, and oftentimes, I've been gym owner for a long time. And I get a lot of people on social media. Get a lot of new clients, and we get lots of phone calls and stuff like that. And people are always like, "I need to get stronger. I need to get more muscle. I need to get this. I need to get that." Right? This is especially coming from the girls, right? And so I always dig in because I know what they mean, right? I know what they're really looking for, and it's not the fact that they need to gain muscle. Okay. So, and what it is that everybody wants to be lean, right? Everybody wants to have definition, right? So oftentimes women, especially, they'll be like, "I need to get stronger." So I'm like, okay, so what does stronger look like to you? And they start to describe, definition. And I'm like, this is exactly what I thought. Or they'll be like, "I need to gain muscle." Okay, what makes you think you need to gain muscle? Well, I want to have the lines in my arms and in my legs and so forth, right? Okay, here's a little newsflash for you people. That is not from gaining muscle, okay? That is simply having low body fat levels. That's all that is. Whenever you see the muscles, that isn't because they're bigger. That's because you have low body fat levels and you can actually see the muscles. You see, you guys already have a six pack. You already have the muscles there. You already have the lines in the arms and the legs and the stomach, and your back is already defined, right? You just can't see it because you got a thick layer of fat on it, right? So step one, and I'm going to tell this to all of you guys, because all you guys think that you need to gain muscle, when in reality it is you need to lose fat so you see the muscles. So first, that was the first thing I wanted to talk about, because all this other stuff that I'm about to tell you on how to actually grow muscle is going to be useless if you're still fat, because you're just going to look like Stay Puft Marshmallow Man instead of like the sexy goddess or, God that you're looking for, right? You're just going to have more muscle, and it's going to make you look worse because you still have so much fat on top of it. Okay. You ever see those people at the gym that they're big and puffy, right? Yeah. It's not sexy, is it? Yeah, I didn't think so. So step number one is understand you need to get lean first, then spend the rest of your life trying to grow if you want to grow more. Okay. And I'll give you a little bit of feedback. Like last year, I was in this mindset, like, I'm going to get jacked, bro. Right. Because I've always liked like the weight and the size that I am, because I like to feel very athletic, right? I like to be able to just, at the spur of a moment, any day, I can just go run trails and still crush it, right? Like I like to, want to be able to go run 1,000 steps and crush it. I want to be able to go, go play basketball, go play any sport and be great at it. And, at the drop of a hat, right? So last year I went through this little phase where I was like, I'm going to get jacked, bro. I'm going to get jacked. So I started working on growing, right? And I gained like 11 pounds from my normal walk around weight. Okay. And I was the same body fat. I gained about 11 pounds, my normal walk around weight. And I tell you what, I hated it. Okay. I absolutely hated it. My feet were always hurting. I was getting tired more whenever I would do anything athletic, because I had all the more muscle on my frame, right? I'm a short guy. So 11 pounds on me is a lot of weight. So I was noticing that like I was getting fatigued when I would do like a lot of my outdoor events and things like that I love to do for fun as workouts, right? And I was feeling like a fat kid, even though I was a fit kid, right? So I'm like, after I was there for maybe like, I don't know, 6 to 8 months, I was heavier, and I'm like, I got to a certain point, like my lats right here and my arm were always chafed, right, from rubbing together. And I'm like, man, this sucks. Like, screw this. I'm going back to my normal fighting weight. So it took me some time to get that weight off, but I got that weight off and went back to my normal weight, which is usually around 155, 157. That's where I sit comfortably at. But I'm going to teach you the tricks on how you can gain muscle if you want to gain muscle. And this is great for those of you guys that, maybe you got like skinny chest and, weak arms and legs looking, like for you dudes, because most of you do, because you don't do anything, right? And then for you ladies that may have a flat butt, Like this is for you, okay? Because this is going to apply to you because you need to gain muscle in those areas, all right? So let's get to it. So the second thing we want to talk about, right? So we talked about you need less fat so you can see your muscles, right? The next thing we're going to talk about is you have to understand what really makes muscles grow. And you have to think of it like this. The only thing that is going to make your muscle grow, because your body thinks of muscle as like a liability. That's kind of why it's easy to get rid of it, right? Because your body thinks of muscle as like a liability because it requires a lot of energy to keep it and a lot of energy to fuel it, right? So your body wants to get rid of it at any chance that it gets, but it only has it as basically a survival response. So what does that mean? That means that your body is only building muscle because you're killing it. That's the only reason that it builds muscle, because you basically killed it in the gym, and then your body goes, man, if we're going to be doing this all the time, I need to get bigger and stronger or else I'm going to die. Like that's what you need to be thinking about when you're training your muscles. Okay. So when we talk about these ways of triggering that near-death experience, right, you have to keep that in mind. And if you aren't doing that, the amount of muscle that you're going to be able to put on is going to be limited or prevented altogether. Okay. So first off, so the way that you really trigger muscle growth, number one, is you have to make sure that you are feeding your body adequately. Okay. Because a lot of you, especially you guys that want to do, I'm the bulking, bro. I'm bulking. No, you're stupid is what you are. Okay. So bulking is a term that fat asses use whenever they're trying to, basically because they're just undisciplined with food. Okay. That's the reality, right? They're like, I'm eating everything inside, bro. I got to eat more to gain more. I'm going to get big, bro. So I'm just going to keep eating this McDonald's and the taco and Taco Bell all day. I'm just going to eat tons of calories. And guess what happens? The majority of the weight that they gain is fat. Okay. Fat. Okay, so then guess what's going to happen? Then they're going to need to at some point go to some kind of cutting phase to drop it off. And more than likely, they're going to do that wrong too. And they're going to lose all the muscle that they gained as well too. And they're going to be right back to where they started. Okay, so don't do that. Okay, you ain't bulking. You don't need to bulk. Okay, so that's a whole nother video in itself. But just know that bulking is stupid. Okay, it's stupid. All right. So if you're going to be trying to increase your calories to gain muscle, you, for one, need to be ripped first. Okay. If you ain't ripped, don't even think about bulking. Okay. You're already fat. You don't need any more. All right. Secondly, get ripped, then start focusing on reverse dieting to build your calories up slowly over time. So that way you can grow. And you really need to think of it like this. Get ripped, then spend life growing if that's your choice. If you want to get bigger. Right. So anyway, that's step one, is make sure your diet is on point, because most of you guys do this wrong. You're eating a bunch of trash and all you're doing is getting fat. Okay. So that's step one. So make sure you're getting an adequate amount of protein and an adequate amount of fats every day. Okay. So, but let's talk about the methods on how you can actually trigger muscle growth, right? Because remember, I was telling you a minute ago, you have to basically put your body through like a near-death experience. Make it feel like it has to get bigger and stronger or else it's going to die. Okay. So here's how you do it. It's called progressive overload. Okay. And I'm just going to give you 3 basic methods. And there's other ways that you could do this, but I'm going to give you 3 basic, simple to understand methods. So that way you can grow your muscles. Okay. So step number 1 is progressive overload is in somehow, some way, progressively overloading your muscles. And there's 3 different ways that you can do this. There's other ways, but there's 3 main ways that you could do this, right? So the first way is by increasing the reps with the same heavy weight that you're using. Okay. The second way is by adding an extra set. Okay. The third way is by obviously increasing the weight, right? So we're talking about these right here. So you increase your reps, you increase your sets, you increase your weight. So I'm going to give you some examples of how this actually works. Okay. So the way that this would work is, let's say you normally do bench press for 225 pounds. Okay. 225 pounds, 225, right? Or maybe you're a girl and you do hip thrust for 225 pounds, right? And you're doing 5 sets of 5 reps. Okay, so how you would do that, increasing the rep range, which is one of the ways to progressively overload. And with that said, Make sure when you guys are working out, you're journaling your workouts, keeping track of all the sets, all the reps, all the weights, every single exercise that you're doing, because each week your goal is to beat what you did last time. Okay. Now, are you going to beat it every week? Probably not. Okay. But the goal is to beat it every single week. Your mind is a goal-seeking organism, especially when it comes to numbers, right? So when you give it numbers and you're like, all right, I just did 225 for five sets last week. All right, this week, I'm going to try and do 225 by 5 or by 6 this week, right? I'm going to try and do it by 6 reps this week. So that's what we have here in this little example. So this week you did 5 sets of 5. Next week you do 225 and you try and get 5 sets of 6. Now, you may only get 1 set of 6, depending on how strong you are, right? You may only get 1. So for you dudes that are doing like bench press, right? And you girls doing like hip thrusts, working that booty, right? You may only get 6, okay? 1 6, right? You still progressively overload. Maybe you failed at 5 on the rest of the remaining sets. It's fine. You still beat what you did last week, so it's still a win, okay? But I found that in a lot of cases, you will be able to get more than just 1 set of 6, okay? So that's one way of doing it, okay? The other way would be to do it by increasing and adding an extra set. So let's say this week you did 225 for 5 reps for 5 sets, right? Next week, your goal is to do 225 by 5 reps and then add a 6th set to that workout. Boom, you just overload it again. Either way, whether you do reps or you do an extra set, you progressively overloaded your muscles, right? So you're going to force and trigger growth, okay? The third way, which I actually recommend that these two go hand in hand, right, is that, because this is the way that I like to do it and like to teach it, is I like to have people do it by rep ranges, and then each week just increasing their reps with the same heavy weight until they get to about 10, right? Then they bump the weight up, right? So the third way of progressively overloading is adding more weight. So let's say this week you did 225 for five reps for 5 sets. What you're going to do next week is you're going to bump it up to 235, right? And then try and get 5 reps for 5 sets, okay? So that's another way of progressively overloading your muscles. But like I was saying, I like to use the first one and the third one as like a little strategy. So what you would do, so let's say you would take 225 pounds, right? This week, you do five sets of 5, right? Next week, your goal is to get 5 sets of 6. The next week, try and get 5 sets of, 7 to 8, and then when you can get to where you can do 5 sets of 10, it's time to increase the weight. Okay. And then you go right back to, you bump the weight up, 5, 10, 20%, whatever. And then depending on how your strength gains are going, and then you start back over, right? And then you go right back to 225, or you go 235 by 5 sets, right? And then the next week, try and do 235 by 6 reps, 235 by 7 reps, right? And let's say you do it and you suck and you can't even get 5 reps. So you could actually just add another set to it, progressively overload that way too. There's lots of ways of doing it, guys. The main thing is that you want to make sure that you are tracking your workouts, tracking your weights, right? And making sure that you are trying to beat what you did last week. Okay, so you're constantly trying to progressively overload your muscles. Okay, so here's another little fact for you guys too. Okay, cardio kills your gains. All right, so if you're doing, you're one of these people that's doing lots of like distance running or extended long bike rides, any of this endurance style cardio, it's going to waste your gains. So understand that, especially for you ladies that love to do like distance running, because ladies like to do that because the endorphin high is amazing, makes you feel really good, right? You really enjoy running, but running is going to give you a flat ass. Okay. For you guys that are doing a lot of distance running and stuff like that, it'll make your arms and your chest and your shoulders and everything really scrawny if you do it too much. So once in a while is no big deal, but don't be one of these people that does a lot of endurance cardio all the time, because it will make you scrawny. I mean, go look at your like average marathon runner, like you're not your average marathon runner, okay? Because let's be real, that's a whole nother video in itself, or a whole nother podcast in itself, because the average marathon runner is fat as hell, okay? That's a whole nother story, and there's reasons behind that, and it's all nutritional. So but if you look at like the elite level marathon runners, these guys are like, you know, 5'11", they're like 125 pounds, right? They're like, you know, 5'6", 115, like they're scrawny, right? And it's because of all the endurance cardio that they do. The body wants to eliminate as much muscle as possible, so that way it can save energy. It's your body's always trying to survive. That's what you got to remember. Your body's always trying to survive. So that's the only reason that it does anything. It's the only reason it burns fat. It's the only reason it builds muscle. It's the only reason that it does anything. It's even though the only reason it stores fat is because it's storing all the excess calories that you consume in case we have a famine. Well, guess what? Your body hasn't evolved. We have refrigerators in our homes. We have restaurants on every corner, right? But our bodies are still performing like its ancestral version, right? Like every other animal on the planet. So anyway, so there's your ways of growing muscle. Remember, seeing the muscles is from low body fat levels, right? You got to train it, give it a near-death experience, and progressively overload those muscles on a consistent basis. Make sure you're writing down your workouts and writing down your weights and your sets and your reps and all that stuff. So that way you can keep track of everything, progressively overload your muscles, and force it to grow. So that was all I had for today's message and today's lesson. So I hope you enjoyed that. Make sure you tag your friends, your girlfriends, your spouses, whoever that may be needing to hear this and need this message or need this little bit of information. It could even be your teenage kids. If they're looking to get jacked, tag them in this video, share this with them, share this podcast with them, whatever, right? I'm using this actual video here and the audio here to repurpose it for many different platforms. So if you hear me talking about video and things like that, it's because it's going to be on YouTube. I have podcasts as well too I'm using this for. I'm also posting this up on as a Facebook Live as well too. I'm repurposing the same information on a lot of different platforms. So just in case you understand what's going on. So anyway, hope you enjoyed this video, and stay tuned for the next episode, because baby, I'm gonna be making America sexy again. See you guys next time.